Diminutive Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis are about to come face to face with a grand jury. And suddenly, the man who styled himself as Ron DeFuture of the Republican Party might be facing felony charges, which, in fairness, is following in the footsteps of Donald Trump. Welcome to Occupied Democrats. I'm David Reddish. Let's be real for a moment. The past few months have seen some insane news cycles as President Taco continues to push tariffs, embarrass himself overseas, declare war on Americans, and generally sully the reputation of the United States. With all that mess hitting the fan, it's sometimes easy to overlook other major political scandals across the country. With that in mind, we turn now to Florida and its Governor Ron DeSantis. For months now, DeSantis and his wife Casey have faced increasing scrutiny over misappropriated tax dollars taken from the people of Florida and funneled into the coffers of Casey DeSantis' pet charity, Hope Florida. Here's a rundown.
Hope Florida is a program that connects people in need with services launched in 2021. The governor's office is trying to codify that program into state law, and that has led to a lot of questions.
I still have no idea why this was justified. I have very strong beliefs that this was not legal.
Who is responsible for the management and oversight of Hope Florida and the foundation?
A fiery hearing in Tallahassee. State lawmakers asking tough questions about how $10 million was funneled into a nonprofit called Hope Florida and not into a state bank account. The charity was spearheaded by First Lady Casey DeSantis.
Do you have any information about what the dispute was or where those funds came from?
I think if there are other topics that you want to discuss, maybe there's another time or individual to address those with.
But, Mr. Meyer, I believe that this is a valid question to be asked.
We learned the money was baked into a $67 million settlement between health giant Centene and the Agency for Healthcare Administration. $57 million went back to taxpayers, $10 million went to Hope Florida, a welfare assistance program to help people become less reliant on taxpayer-funded programs.
What are y'all doing with the $10 million?
That is a question for the foundation. They are the
That's a question for ROCKED. They directed the payment.
Chairman Alex Andrade, a Republican from Pensacola, making the claim the money transfer was made to be kept hidden from the legislature.
It looked like a creative way to try and, without oversight, send $10 million of taxpayer funds to Hope Florida.
Mr. Chair, I think it's unfortunate that we are succumbing to some of these unfortunate attacks. The program and model has been supportive of meeting the needs of individuals, Floridians in your district, all throughout the state who need help.
The meeting lasted hours with the governor's camp saying Hope Florida is getting Floridians off of welfare, the AHCA calling the hearing performative. The questions continue.
And it gets even slimier. Don't go away. And to recap, it appears Ron DeSantis illegally diverted $10 million in taxpayer funds to his wife's charity during the 2024 election cycle. Hope Florida, Casey DeSantis' charity, then spent that money defeating a referendum that would have legalized recreational marijuana in Florida. Sources close to the DeSantises say that Casey wants to pull an Eva Perón and run for governor herself and wanted to use marijuana legislation as a signature issue. Since the scandal broke earlier this year, the Florida legislature has tried to launch its own bipartisan investigation, but has been stymied and stonewalled by the governor's mansion. Well, now, thanks in part to their stonewalling, Ron and Casey DeSantis are facing an even grimmer harbinger, a grand jury. The Tampa Bay Times now reports that prosecutors are about to present witnesses and evidence to a grand jury in the Hope Florida scandal case. At the time of this report, it's not entirely clear what witnesses will be called. They could include the DeSantises, or what evidence prosecutors will present to the grand jury. The Times further notes that it's highly unlikely prosecutors have a weak case against DeSantis, since they seldom convene grand juries at all. In this case, jurors will weigh potential indictments against Ron and Casey DeSantis, and most likely Attorney General James Uthmeier, who was DeSantis' chief of staff during the scandal. Also, for what it's worth, I'm guessing the indictment will be more than 2 pages double-spaced and lay out careful evidence, something the Trump administration has tried with its indictment of James Comey. Again, see our other videos for more on that. Back to Florida. If any indictment is issued in this case, it will almost assuredly go to trial in the coming months and drag on into next year, which just so happens to be the time that Casey DeSantis would launch her own gubernatorial bid. In other words, The DeSantis regime is facing true political oblivion. And if Casey DeSantis does still run, that gives Democrats a major opening for a win in the state, as the onus of corruption will hang over the DeSantis tenure. And given the corruption hanging over the Trump White House at the moment, Casey DeSantis will have a much steeper climb than she envisioned. Naturally, we'll keep you up to date on this story as it continues to develop. Remember to subscribe to our channel. I'm David Reddish.